You're listening to Experience Imagination, a themed entertainment design podcast presented by Falcon's Creative Group. Every episode, we discuss a new topic with a panel of creative professionals. Hi, I'm Cecil McPurry, Chief Executive Officer of Falcons.
Welcome, listeners. Happy to have you back for another episode of Experience Imagination. I'm Audrey DeLong. Falcon's Creative Group recently opened its second office location. It's in the Philippines in the city of Manila. In a moment, I'm going to be joined by Cecil McPurry and Yvette Whitaker to touch on the why and how and what the experience was like to set up our first satellite office. Then we'll hear directly from our new Falcons employees about their journeys, what they enjoy about being Filipino, and what they feel others can do to get their foot in the door of the themed entertainment industry. To close out the episode, I'll speak with Saham Ali and Crystal Fahmy about the logistics of setting up an office that is more than 9,000 miles away. First, I thought I would share a few quick facts with everyone. There are 114 million people living in the Philippines. Close to 15 million live in the capital, which is Manila, and its surrounding urban areas. 52 million Filipinos speak English. It's one of two official languages, actually, and it's commonly used by the government. The Philippines, I love this fact, it's the world's texting capital with about 1 billion messages sent daily, and I'm sure that number is rising by the minute. All right, so now that everyone is a little more knowledgeable about the Philippines, let's bring in Falcon's own Cecil McPurry and Yvette Whitaker. Hi.
Hey, Audrey.
Hi, Audrey.
So, Cecil, I want to start with you. Just ask you, what was the impetus behind setting up an office in the Philippines?
Oh my gosh, it's real personal. With the success of Falcons, our 23 years, my father was really proud of what, I was able to accomplish. And he had an amazing amount of skills in so many different ways. He was a writer, a musician, jazz musician, painter. And as we continued to progress and mature Falcons, there was a point in time he said, listen, son, think about how you can give back to the Philippine Islands where, I was born and grew up. He says, there's so many beautiful, talented people in the Philippines. And so finally, we're at a position where it really made sense to do so, and we committed.
Well, you talked about all the talented people in the Philippines, so I'm curious, how are they going to contribute to Falcons? What kind of roles were there?
We did this amazing job of master planning and expansion for Enchanted Kingdom, and the owners there have been an amazing friend, really. And so we reached out to them saying, hey, we're contemplating, my father really wanted me to give back, and they really respected that and understand it. And he said, oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? We can help you. And what was interesting is they reminded me of the amazing ecosystem and schooling system that's there. They have master's programs in architecture, and they have game design. They have all the attributes you would traditionally find here in the U.S. that were in our ecosystem. We found that they had that infrastructure there. And we started talking to some of the disciplines that were helping Enchanted Kingdom, and all of a sudden, we're up and running. We had resources immediate and almost similar in talent pool.
Well, let me go over to you, Yvette, because I just wanted to get your impression of the Filipino culture and the people that you interviewed. What were your impressions?
Well, I have to say I've been at this for 23 years here, and a lot of people ask, what is your top emotional moment at Falcons? And to me, it was stepping foot through that threshold and meeting the team that we assembled there. Everyone is intelligent, they're eager, they're smart, and they are so happy. The culture just couldn't have been a better fit.
I definitely sense that because I listened to all the interviews that you did, and everybody is so happy and so warm. And I also wanted to ask how many, at least in the initial hiring wave, how many people did you hire for the Philippines office?
The first wave is about 14 employees. They together make an incredible, diverse team. That's our first step, but we are continuing the process of recruiting.
Awesome. I do have one more question. What
Sure.
strikes you about Filipino culture?
Well, We'll get to Filipino culture in a minute, but Filipino food, that's where it's at. Oh my goodness, it was so good.
I'm
But
biased. I'm a fan.
Yes.
I may or may not have gained a little weight while I was there. But Filipino culture, it's just so refreshing. Everyone is truly happy. It's a well-balanced life. They work extremely hard, but they're so gracious and so grateful. It really touched me to have a hand in putting this together and meeting all these new friends and family members that I've made so far away.
It was nice to see pictures that you were sending me. It seemed like you guys knew each other for a long time. And the office is so beautiful. Oh my gosh, I was jealous. I was like,
It's beautiful.
I love it. I love it. To be on the penthouse there in BGC is just an amazing opportunity for us to have a beacon like that in Manila. The urban planning of BGC is quite incredible. So I think that it was never anticipated that we can actually have a place there. But when Yvette did all the due diligence of all the options there with Crystal, it was amazing to see that there was a true option for us to be in BGC.
Well, you must be thrilled that we're up and running finally.
Yes.
We're going to talk to Crystal, Femi, and Sahamali a little bit later about what it took to set up the office. But Yvette, we want to get to your interviews with the employees next.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm here in Manila with our wonderful new Falcons employees. We thought it'd be fun to hear from all of them and get their take on a variety of topics. So let's get right to it. What sparked your interest in themed entertainment? Let's start with Miguel.
Since I was 5, we always go to like amusement parks here in the Philippines, theme parks. We have Enchanted Kingdom, other sorts. And I always wondered, how do people even build this? How do people create this? I think the curiosity in me, how does this work? Who's the people who work in this?
How about you, Emmanuel?
Well, I love theme parks very much. I've been traveling different countries and been to a lot of theme parks. But as an architect, I've been practicing only a traditional or conventional architecture. And then at back of my mind, I always wanted to try and do this design stuff and creative stuff in the theme and entertainment industries.
Josh?
Initially, I wanted to be a concept artist, and I wanted to enter a position that illustrates and makes art. And along the way, learning about the themed industry, it really opened up paths and a future, I think, for me, and turning imagination to reality. Right? That's the core message of themed industry, right?
That is so true. Next, we have Emmy.
What really sparked my interest in themed entertainments was mostly more of the what we put in there. Like I'm really into anime, online games, any kind of games, anything that's interactive and anything that's fun. So it's more of mixing up my personal life with my professional life. So it's really the perfect choice for me.
Yes, it sure is. How about you, Eunice?
I've been interested in the theming industry because of two things, art and shared goal. The arts because I've been into art since I was young. Unfortunately, I lost that passion, so this opportunity gave me a glimpse of hope that I will be able to bring that passion. And second is the shared goal. The goal of theming entertainment is to make a great place that will create an unforgettable, happy memories in which it's aligned with what I am as an individual. To make people happy in this way, they won't forget about us.
Nice. Okay. Rue.
For me, I think I just like creative things, and then me entering an architecture degree, merging the two things just makes sense when I started drawing, and then compounding these things to become an attraction when I took my first job. It's just equated into something I can do for my entire career.
Yes. And Chito.
Well, I don't know. I like movies growing up. So I like telling stories as well. I like to know the inside out of things. So going into spaces that do you just admire the architecture? And that actually, to me, is a bit fleeting sometimes, but when you go into a space and experience it differently, then it becomes part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A memory you take with you
Yeah,
forever.
your memory you take with you, and you share it with other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, did you know anything about Falcons before being hired here? Gideon.
I remember back in Expo Asia 2017, held in Singapore, I saw your Falcons booth and I saw a lot of breathtaking renderings. So yeah, I was aware that of the existence of Falcons like 7 years. Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Miguel?
Yeah, actually through conventions, IAPA, researching some of the competitors out there back then. And Falcons was always the forerunners of these new attractions, technology, because it's one of the leaders in theme park industry.
Oh, that's awesome. Eunice?
Yes, in my previous work, we were commissioned to manufacture and install all the theming items in a three-story indoor theme park located in Qatar, all designed by Falcon's Treehouse.
Wow, what a coincidence that here you are all this time after. That's great. Jerome?
Before entering to the theme park design, I'm working on a landscape firm. I haven't heard about Falcon. So when I came working on the other company, doing the theme park, I see a lot of work from Falcon that was existing project. So that will be the time when I get interested working in Falcon.
Cool. And Chito?
Back in 2006, there was this Asia Pacific brewery had a visitor center that actually shows how beer is made. I think that was in one of the drawings I saw Falcon's Treehouse. And then the second one was at Singapore Science Center where you installed a tree. And first time seeing that, I was like,
Yeah.
wow. The aesthetics of the tree, it was like, it looks organic, it looks like it's connecting everything.
Yes, people loved that. Tell us about your experience working at Falcon so far. I know you haven't been here that very long, but what do you like about it and what have you learned about the company and the industry as a whole? Let's start with Gideon.
I like the way you encourage each individual employees. And I think we can easily share our wild ideas freely and without worrying so much, right? I got excited here because for my past company, I have two projects that I was actually referencing two Falcon patents. I couldn't figure out how can we do this tornado thing. And then I found this image and actually it was one of the things that you've shown in the slides. So I thought, wow, a lot of things we do here in Falcons are the things that a lot of people are referencing.
Yeah, that's great. Michelle?
With the projects that the Falcon is currently working on, it's just mind-blowing in terms of, just being able to be part of something that creative. Because I have always dreamed to be part of something big and something different that makes a big impact.
That's wonderful. Josh?
Learning how open the collaboration, their team in giving the chances to provide different ideas and them listening to us in the design concepts, right? I think that's a really good place.
Yeah. Okay. Emmy?
What I appreciate most in Falcons is that they listen to everyone. Everyone's open to suggestions. Everyone's really open to opinions. And also, the leaders here really are teaching you not only how to do things, but how to manage things that you don't usually do. And also, I really appreciate them not scrapping out your ideas. I love that they listen to what I have to say, and that's really important for me.
Yes, that is our goal here. Jomari?
So far, the people in here are very amazing and very helpful. People always try to share their past experiences and how we can learn and grow from it. And I learned that Falcons have established its craft for about 20 years now. And then I can say right now that Falcons is one of the big players in the themed entertainment industry, backed by those years of experience.
Yes. Ronnie?
For me, working at Falcons is exciting, challenging, yet fun experience. You are going to collaborate with the multi-talented people. At Falcons, you have freedom to explore your skills and talent and learn new techniques and softwares.
That's awesome. Eunice?
What I like about Falcon is that you can feel the warmth and support of the whole team. There's really a positive work culture, and for the past few weeks of working in Falcon, I've learned that your opinions and ideas are significant, no matter how silly it is. And I am being blessed to say that I am belong to this good working culture, and I'm looking forward to sharing this kind of culture in the future as we expand our team in the Philippines.
Awesome. Yes. So Josh is newly engaged and promised his girlfriend or his fiance that he would mention her name on the podcast. So come on, Josh.
Hi, Chanel.
Hey, Chanel. Okay. I know our listeners all around the world would be super interested to learn about the Filipino culture. So what's something you can share about Filipinos and the Philippines in general? Let's start with Oz.
I think the Filipino culture is like, they like to pitch in ideas, they like to collaborate. So any ideas that you have, we're very welcome and can maybe accommodate all of it.
Okay. Emmanuel.
Sometimes, actually, foreigners living differently from Philippines, they think that we're not serious because we're always laughing and smiling. So when we're doing work, we're always smiling, but they think that, hey, maybe he's not taking serious of his work. But actually, even though we're smiling and laughing, but when you guys see our output, it's professionally done.
Absolutely. Jerome.
Being a Filipino, what came first on my mind is the family first. That's why the Filipino people are working because of their family. I think that's the similarity of the Falcon to the Filipino because they're working as a family. They're also have the called in Filipino, which is bayanihan. Bayanihan will have the equivalent explanation, same as the helping each other.
Yes, I love that. Claire?
Well, I would like to share that in terms of our culture and values, I believe that we are very resilient, yet we remained optimistic in spite of all the trials that we faced. And as we successfully surpassed those, we remained cheerfully facing everything still.
That's wonderful. I do love that about the Filipino culture. It's my favorite part, actually. One of the things we want to do is really kind of collaborate with the universities and the schools and develop educational programs. Are there any that you know of, that you ever heard of here that would help students kind of move into the entertainment industry? Oz?
For me, based on my experience working in the theme park industry, if you have a background in architecture, interior design, maybe mechanical engineering, product designing, digital media, and some interior works or maybe fine arts illustration, maybe you can have a chance on doing like theme parks and maybe entering the theme park industry, as long as you have a background in that certain disciplines.
How about you, Emmanuel?
Definitely, there's no programs for entertainment industry in the Philippines, sadly. So now, since Falcon is now here, and if we could spread the word that we are here and this is what we are doing, and maybe students from the universities or maybe even down to the high school would look up to this and then, hey, maybe in the future I would like to work with this.
Right. We want to make that happen here. What are your thoughts, Emmy?
To be honest, there's really not many in the Philippines. So that's why most of us here are either from architecture or arts industry, and it's not really included in the curriculum, the themed entertainments. So yeah, I guess we can introduce more of that in the Philippines.
All right, Jamari.
Yeah, educational programs and tracks are available. More on the traditional academic ones are you could take the BS in architecture, you can take interior design, industrial design. And if you're more of an artist or on the creative side, you could come from multimedia arts or animation. There's one program here in a school called Interactive Entertainment and Multimedia Computing Program. So students who graduated from that program get to delve on the industry on gaming and game art. So it's kind of related to
Getting closer to what we
to
do.
theme entertainment and to what we do at
great.
Falcons. Yeah.
Chito?
Architecture is a good base to start with because architecture gives you that freedom to design things, but it also grounds you. It also makes you think, is this something that you can build? Another good base, I think, would be the gaming industry. A lot of people that we worked in previously are from the gaming industry. And the one that I love the most would be the movie industry. And I guess, I don't know what courses you have, but there's production designers, there's industrial designers as well, there's set designers now, there's permanent exhibit designers that actually are kind of geared to tell stories. This is such an important component in that theme industry.
Right. So what advice would you give to people who want to break into our crazy industry? Miguel?
Now that we live in like a advanced technological world, I would say just put your work out there, put yourself out there, showcase what your talents are, your works. Somewhere around the world, someone will see that, oh, that's really a nice artwork, or that's an amazing plan, that's an amazing sketch. Of course, you can also attend like conventions or like talk to some peers who are already in the themed industry just to, learn more about it.
Great. Oz, what are your thoughts?
Maybe just hone your skills and don't forget to upskill and maybe be tunnel vision about it. Then develop, and actually get the more help from others also, like how to develop your skills, because you need some senior and advisors also.
Okay, Michelle? You cannot go wrong for being, going to architectural school or let's say fine arts. Just the important thing is, I think, go for your passion. You just have to make sure that you go for it and then, don't go the other way. But I think you should follow the instinct where you want to be in the future.
Very good. Josh?
Stay curious and be open. There's a lot of things to learn, and it's a vested interest always. If you want to enter, you invest in your time, your effort in learning it. So stay curious and open.
That's good advice. And Jomari?
My advice, if you really want to design theme parks or to someone who just have this goal in the background and waiting for the right opportunity, I believe that there's an opportunity for everyone. I think the industry doesn't limit itself only to architects. We need strengths from different fields of practice as well. And every past work experience you have can be relevant to the role and will bring into the team is really valuable.
Absolutely. Rue?
I chose my directions carefully. Are they doing architecture? Yes. Okay, at least I can spend time and earn some skills there. Perhaps if I do want to really go into more creative, perhaps I'd spend some time learning about media arts. I gained experience there. Just compile those small experiences, and in the end, you have a very comprehensive resume portfolio for yourself. That's what I used.
That's great. How about you, Chito?
Well, talent is not enough. Again, it's a good base to start from, but you have to have the grit, you have to have the patience, you have to learn how to wear hats at different times. And it could be frustrating at the beginning, but once you get through that point, it's smooth sailing.
Well said. Ronnie?
Well, if you are an imaginative artist who wants to put your creation into reality, then you can find it in a team entertainment industry like Falcon's Creative Philippines. It's just like they say, experience imagination like never before.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a great way to close.
I'm now joined by two of my brilliant colleagues, Saham Ali, Executive Vice President of Technology, and Crystal Fahmy, Director of Business Operations. Hello.
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 So, opening an office on the other side of the world, it's got to be a massive logistical challenge. So, what were the steps taken after Cecil and company said, go?
The first thing that we did was we reached out to some connections that we had in the Philippines, our friends at Enchanted Kingdom. We had a call with them and they introduced us to a really wonderful network of people. And that really kind of spun off all of these different connections that we had and was really instrumental in helping us to set up in the Philippines. They introduced us to our legal counsel and they were absolutely wonderful to work with. They really helped to set up with the incorporation, setting up the business entity, and then helping with a lot of our employment matters and compliance that, were new to us with the new international company. And we also reached out to somebody that we've worked with in the past, Phil Hawking. He now is employed with us as an executive project architect, but he served as our boots on the ground for several months to help ramp up the build out and helping us with our recruitment process. It was definitely a wonderful learning experience.
Oh, for sure. Saham, what about you?
Once the decision was made to get out into the Philippines, I got to the drawing boards and actually created a diagram, if you will, of how we ultimately wish our data to kind of go back and forth and work to go back and forth. So once we devised the plan of what the remote site would look like, we got to working with Phil Hawking and a lot of our friends over on that side. We found some challenges in procuring equipment even, which we didn't think was going to be a problem. So much so that there were some things we simply had to ship from here.
Because from the U.S.?
Because you couldn't get it over there or you'd be waiting 6 months plus. Philippines has slightly different rules and regulations on how current tech can get into the country. So there were some challenges there. And now they're online with us.
There was probably easy-ish parts of the process, and then you talked about some of the difficulties. But Crystal, I want to start with you as far as what you were handling. What was the easiest part and what was the hardest part?
The easiest part for me was the selection process for our new team members. One, we had a wonderful recruiter that made it really easy for us. And our team is wonderful and experienced at vetting and knowing exactly the right person to pick for the role and for their skill sets. So by the time they reached us for, in the HR, it was an easy pick because everyone was just absolutely lovely and skilled. And we knew that they would be a great fit. Anytime I meet with somebody for an interview, I kind of look for that magic behind the eyes, and you can tell that they're a Falcon. So every single person that we eventually ended up hiring really is a Falcon through and through.
All right, Saham, what was one of the harder parts of the process for you?
All of it. Yeah, all kidding aside, it was a big challenge considering, nothing stops operations here while you're trying to kick up operations over there. The nuances in just communications when you're dealing with vendors over there. On-site scheduling was a little bit of a challenge because getting around in the Philippines can be a challenge due to traffic. So getting people to show up on time and on the right day to have very critical things installed on time was a thing.
So is there IT support there, or are you still supporting?
We are still supporting from the States. However, the way we have it configured pretty much can do everything from here. We've got some good ambassadors. Again, our team's amazing. And so there are people we can rely on to take care of some of those really basic functions because they're techie enough to.
Well, that is excellent news. So I have a question for both of you. What advice would you give if somebody is saying, you know what, I want to set up a satellite office, especially in another country? Do you have any advice?
Having a really good, solid timeline and expectation of how long things take to implement. I think that was definitely the biggest learning curve, was realizing how long certain things take and to know the difference in the cultural nuances and how business works and functions. Having that was really critical insight. So I think having that as one of the initial steps would be really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything's on Google. There's companies and vendors out there that just don't have an online presence, and a lot of it is just relationships. In fact, The team that Phil had found to do the fit out, we ended up leaning on them because his brother was a low voltage guy. So we were able to get all the wiring taken care of in one easy shot for a fraction of what every other vendor was charging commercially. So it was like a relationship thing that worked out, but we wouldn't have known that had we not been there.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun, getting a little behind the scenes peek at setting up a satellite office. So thank you, too, for helping out with this.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
It was so nice to hear from all of our new Falcons employees in the Philippines. What an inspiring group of people. I want to thank all of them for their time and thoughtful answers. And a special thank you goes out to Yvette Whitaker for making that happen during a very busy time. And thank you to Cecil, Saham, and Crystal for sharing their stories too. That concludes this episode of Experience Imagination. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcons Creative Group production. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. To keep up with our latest news, visit us on the web at falconscreativegroup.com. And follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, please email us at podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.